It's incredibly degenerate. I'm trying not to be Jordan Peterson and cry on air, but this has hit me really hard. I can't believe our country has fallen this far so quickly. If our king truly was a defender of the faith, he would dissolve parliament immediately.
46 minutes. 46 minutes. That is how long it took for our degenerate political class to decriminalize abortion up until the day of birth in the United Kingdom. So yes, I hate to say it, I hate to admit it, but we are a society in decline, and this was always what was going to happen if Slippery Starmer was allowed to lead this country. But for the mainstream media, this is just normal. Look at the Politico coverage of this. They headlined this despicable development as "No abortion wars, please, we're British." And this was their reporting on the matter. Tonya Antoniazzi's amendment to the Crime and Policing Bill to stop women in England and Wales being prosecuted for terminating their pregnancies passed by a majority of 242 votes, 379 MPs in favour to 137 against. Women acting alone to end their own pregnancy will no longer be prosecuted at any gestation, assuming the amendment gets through the Lords. They wrote, "It marks the biggest change to reproductive rights in nearly 60 years, and it wasn't even close." And I repeat, it took 46 minutes for this law to be ushered through Parliament. Belinda DeLucy posted on this. "It feels like there is a death cult element to this Labour Party. They seem scarily determined to make it easier to take life. There was no movement or protest pushing for such a huge change. It was not even in their manifesto. How could they?" And Right to Life UK, quite rightly, shared this video of Jerome Mayhew. Watch.
Irrespective of our position on the vote that we've just taken, or the votes rather, we have to acknowledge that we have made a major change to abortion law, and yet that was on the basis of no evidence session, no committee stage scrutiny, 46 minutes, just 46 minutes of backbench debate, and a government minister wind-up who refused to take any interventions. And that's when the chamber is full of single, one-line debates. So could you give me advice on, if we want to continue like this, how can we improve our rules so we don't have this situation in the future?
46 minutes. This is a degenerate parliament. And you know, there were even Conservatives who voted for this. Connor Tomlinson pointed it out. 8 Conservative MPs just voted to decriminalise abortion up till birth in Britain. He's listed them there. Afra Brandeth, Caroline Dinage, she should not be a Conservative, terrible woman. Luke Evans, Kit Malthouse, Andrew Mitchell, Niall Shasty-Hurst, Ben Spencer, Laura Trott. He wrote, "What are you conserving? If you're willing to let women kill unborn children, is there any tradition or taboo that you won't join progressive revolutionaries in breaking? Every one of them should have the whip removed." And actually, so many women I respect are absolutely disgusted by this decision. Sophie Kikoran posted, "Reform can't claim to be the official opposition if their leader doesn't turn up to vote. In one of the most consequential and downright dangerous ones there is. You're not the official opposition if you can't be asked to turn up and actually oppose." That's in reference to the fact Nigel Farage didn't bother to vote. Former Reform UK member Maria Botal posted, "The list of MPs who are pro-murder makes me sick. This anger will not subside easily. How far will we allow our ethics to drop before we say enough? For the love of all that is holy, please, please do not re-elect a single one of them." Former Prime Minister Liz Truss, "This is horrifying. It needs to be reversed. This is not what our country believes or stands for." Julia Hartley-Brewer, the talk presenter, "It's not a step forward in reproductive rights." This was responding to The Guardian political editor Pippa Carrera. "This is a legal challenge that 97% of women in this country oppose. How can killing a baby the day after it is born be murder, but killing that same baby the day before be a legal act? That's not feminism, that's madness." Sharon Davies, The Olympic legend, swimming legend, posted, "My granddaughter was born at 37 weeks. I'm horrified. We have made it legal in the UK for healthy babies to be terminated up to the day before they're due. Let's hope the House of Lords stops this. So euthanasia for our old and infirm, and now anyone can get rid of their baby with no repercussions. This does not represent public opinion. Why are these things happening? I don't recognise my country anymore." And Sarah Vine linked this decision last night with the shocking case of Lucy Letby, who, remember, I believe is innocent, but that's another story. She wrote, "Lucy Letby's youngest victim was born at 29 weeks. She died in her 30th week. And yet Parliament has today sanctioned the killing of babies up to 41 weeks of gestation. Where is the logic in that? Where is the morality? Why is one murder and the other not? Has anyone stopped to think this through?" Back to my superstar panel now. Father Calvin Robinson, 46 minutes. Is this a degenerate parliament?
It's incredibly degenerate. I'm trying not to be Jordan Peterson and cry on air, but this has hit me really hard. I can't believe our country has fallen this far so quickly. And it's worse than these people, the tweets you've just read, it's worse than these people realize, because what it does is it essentially legalizes abortion. And people say, no, it's decriminalization, but it's not, because it's decriminalization without any penalty whatsoever. So in essence, it legalizes abortion for any reason, at any time, up to and during birth. So it's not even the people who are saying, well, your baby could be born one day, but the day before it could be killed. No, the baby can now be killed while the woman is on the surgical table with her legs open, with the baby's head approaching. They can cut open the head and vacuum the brains of the baby out. Or they can leave the baby on the side to cry itself to death, as they call it, which is, of course, starving and dying of thirst. This is just monstrous. It is sheer evil that we have a government that has voted this through with hardly any debate, just clearly pushed it through, and the opposition didn't oppose it. In fact, the opposition, not most, but some of the opposition voted for it. I'm absolutely disgusted by our country. And I think if our king truly was a defender of the faith, he would dissolve Parliament immediately. I can't think of anything worse than killing the most vulnerable in our society, which of course is the unborn baby. And to allow this, to decriminalize this for any stage, right up until the moment the baby is being born. What are we? It's inhumane.
But first, the great thing about having you here on Outspoken is that I know you're awake to the massive problems with the mainstream media and the disturbing realities that just mean it's impossible to trust the so-called fact checkers who try and dictate the narrative. Now, given we love the news and we do want to be informed, but no longer believe so much of what the establishment gatekeepers tell us, it can sometimes leave us in quite a predicament. But don't worry, I have an amazing solution for you. It's called Ground News. It is the best way to stay informed and cut through media bias and manipulative narratives so you can get the facts for yourself. Now, I use Ground News every day. I have it on my phone as an app and in my bookmarks online on my laptop and my desktop computer because it's become so essential to my daily life. You can see it for yourself at ground.news/outspoken. I've got an amazing offer for you in just one moment. But before I tell you about that, I want to show you this incredible website and app in action. So let's use the shocking story, a story I'm very passionate about, of the incarceration of the UK's political prisoner, the grieving mother and housewife Lucy Connolly, who remains behind bars after one tweet and had her appeal rejected, sparking outrage across the world. Now, you can see in one place 37 sources covering this story, but what Ground News does is instantly show how the story is being covered by the media, broken down by whether they lean to the left or the right. It's called the bias distribution chart. Then, if you scroll down, you can actually see every headline about the story along with the political bias and ownership of the publication. Interestingly and promisingly, in this case, 32% of the sources are independent. Now, the left covered the story predictably. Wales Online flagged her racial hatred. The Daily Mirror went full-on political propaganda with the headline, "Tory councillor's wife jailed for tweeting set fires to hotel, loses appeal bid." But the coverage on the right-leaning outlets, far more accurate. Guido Fawkes tapped into the horror of Starmer backing the 31-month sentence for one tweet, and the Daily Express said her incarceration is a moral stain on Britain's justice system. The Spectator simply said, quite accurately, she is in prison because of her politics, while my friend Alison Pearson spoke to Lucy in prison for the Daily Telegraph. Now, my favourite feature of Ground News is the blind spot feed. It surfaces upwards of 20 stories every day that receive the majority of coverage from one side of the political spectrum. So if you love the news like I do, the blind spot feed is the best way to get a balanced perspective on what is happening. So now it's time for the deal. Go to ground.news/outspoken, click on the link in the description box below, or scan the QR code on screen if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, and you will get 40% off the same Vantage plan I use for unlimited access. That's ground.news/outspoken. But now, back to the show. Raja, Maya, how do you feel about this?
I have a daughter, Dan. I was there at her birth, and when she was born, clearly there was, there's a soul there. I believe in all of those sorts of things. Life is sacred, Dan. I am a firm believer life is sacred, and what you're seeing here isn't just evil. What you're seeing here is a consequence of brainwashing. There's a generation of our people, or two generations in this country, who've gone through a very liberal, ultra-liberal education system that has took them to a place where they think this, not only is this normal, but, there you go, for a woman's right to choose. Since when was killing a child a right? Since when did that become a right in this way? And you look at the small print, and you can now also get pills. You can just get pills ordered that arrive in the post, and you can just take some pills, and that's the end of it. It's crazy. It's not just immoral. It's just a reflection of where our society is going, and we've got to ask ourselves why it's going there, and is there anything we can do to save it?
Indeed. Father Calvin, I wanted to play you what the Labour MP behind this law change said in Parliament, how she framed this, so that you can respond directly to her. So this is Tonya Antonazzi. Watch.
Madam Deputy Speaker, the public overwhelmingly support this change as well. I implore colleagues not to lose sight of the moral imperative here, namely vulnerable women being dragged from hospital bed to police cell on suspicion of ending their own pregnancies. This is urgent. We know multiple women are still in the system awaiting a decision, accused of breaking this law. They cannot afford to wait. We have, Madam Deputy Speaker, a once-in-a-lifetime generation, a once-in-a-generation opportunity to put an end to this in a simple and secure manner. This is the right change at the right time. I implore colleagues who want to protect women and girls and abortion services to vote for new Clause 1. Let's ensure that not a single desperate woman ever again is subject to traumatic criminal investigation at the worst moments in their lives. There must be no more Lauras, and there must be no more Nicola Packers, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Father Calvin, your response.
So she's lying. Firstly, I saw screenshots on Twitter of this person and people blaming this person for putting forward the amendment. I assumed it was a bloke. I actually genuinely didn't know this was a woman. She's saying that a majority of the public support this. That's a lie, outrageous lie in the House. So she's manipulating the other her peers. She's saying this is a moral imperative. The moral imperative is to protect the vulnerable, is to be a voice to the voiceless, is to give people the right to live, or to support their right to live, not to take that right away. And she's talking about vulnerable women. Well, the most vulnerable women are the ones who feel pressured and forced into abortions, and actually the trauma that these women often suffer, these women and girls often suffer as a result of killing their own baby. Sometimes they never get over that. And so this is actually not morally imperative. This is the opposite of that. It's monstrous. And of course, she's talking about the consequences of, the law. So people who have broken the law and had abortions in late term past the legal limit. Of course, there should be no legal limit. Nobody should be killing babies. But there is a legal limit at the moment, or there was. And so women that broke that law suffered some consequences, not very severe consequences, unfortunately. But yes, there should be consequences. If you kill a baby, there should absolutely be consequences. And we need to make them all the more severe. So we need to help and support vulnerable women and girls so that they don't think that killing their baby is an option. And so they have alternative options and they have all the kindness and love and support they need. But the monstrous ones that do go forward with this, they do need to suffer the consequences for it, absolutely. And it's a great shame on our nation that we have an established state church, and I still haven't heard them speak out against this whatsoever. The Catholic Church has made an announcement, and credit to them for that, although it was a bit of a tut-tut. It wasn't very fiery, but I'm waiting to hear from the Church of England and from His Majesty the King. Someone needs to speak out against this.
Father Calvin, what's quite interesting is there's a lot of folk on the left who are saying privately, I've been reading this in the mainstream media, saying privately, actually, Labour don't know what they have just done here, because isn't this going to put the whole issue of abortion back on the table in the United Kingdom? I mean, I know Nigel Farage didn't turn up to vote. However, he has said that he does not support abortion past 24 weeks. But Sarah Pochin, who is the new Reform UK MP for Runcorn and Halsby, has now said that she believes that 24 weeks is far too far into a pregnancy, and she is calling for further term limits. So I know there's nothing positive out of a law like this, but do you believe that it now puts the whole issue of abortion in the United Kingdom back onto the table and makes it part of the ongoing culture war?
Yeah, it is so monstrous, so overtly evil that even the lefties are a bit like, whoa, that's a bit too far. So yes, it does bring the conversation back up, because we've had this elitist, snobby mentality in Britain for a while now that we don't do the abortion thing. That's what the Americans do. We don't debate that. Like it's beneath us or something to want to protect vulnerable life. And so yes, the conversation is back, and we have to be aiming for abolition, to abolish abortion entirely. We live in a medical marvel age in that there is never, ever a reason in Britain to be killing a baby. People say, what about if the mother's life is at risk? The mother's life is never at risk in terms of you need to kill the baby to save the mother. That is never the case. But also, mothers should want to protect their baby, even at the risk of their own lives. People say, what about in the cases of rape or incest, which account for roughly 1% of all abortions in the UK. So it's not even the majority reason. But even if it was, rape is awful, and the man should be hanged if he's raped a woman. Yes, kill the man who raped, kill the rapist rather. Don't kill the baby. The baby's innocent in this. The baby is vulnerable. The baby did nothing wrong. And so if someone has to die, it should be the rapist, absolutely. And in terms of incest, again, you've got to have different situations to solve the problems, not kill the baby who is a consequence of the problems. And so in this modern age, there should be absolutely zero abortion in the West. And unfortunately, it's one of the greatest killers of people in the West. We have over 200,000 abortions every single year in the UK. More people die of that than of anything else, including COVID. It's absolutely absurd that we're letting people get away with infanticide and promoting it as a good thing. A woman's right to choose, a woman's reproductive health care. It's not reproductive because it's killing reproduction. It's not healthy because it's killing a baby. It's not caring because it's killing a baby. And it's not a right. No one has the right to choose to kill someone else, to end someone else's life. What kind of right is that? We all have a right to life, and that right is God-given. It's not from the state. It's not from the House of Commons. It's certainly not from any individual. It's from God. And so no one else has the right to take that away.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.